believe that the fiery serpents just simply is reference to the goddess Whitehead and to the cult of the royal wives. They are the fiery serpents. The cult of the royal wives, the royal wives themselves, and the goddess of which they're under which they operate. In other words, the ancient dragon court. So when you decode the language, I mean, how can you be bitten by tiny snakes flying through the air and all this stuff? No. This is a symbol of the cult of the serpent wives that rejected Akhenaten. It wasn't Moses who was being thrown out, it was Akhenaten and his coterie, stripped of their title. And Nefertiti, his wife, stripped of her title. Now, some scholars have correctly discerned that the staff refers to the pharaohs. Right? There are scholars out there that know that that staff is just simply a pharaonic symbol. Not all of them, but a few who've done their homework. But in my opinion, they haven't gone deep enough, because it is pharaonic, but it's not just pharaonic. As we said, it's a female symbol. We've just been looking at that. But what it reveals is monumental. What it tells us is that, because we know it, we just looked at it, is a female symbol, it means that the Athenists, after the time of the exile, in other words, the death of Akhenaten and then the exile, were under female dominion. They were under female control. That's what we need to understand. So, the anecdote of the raising of the standard conceals a major shift in status, in the status quo. The one they're talking about is not necessarily is Nefertiti, but her daughter, the daughter of Akhenaten, Meritaten. As we said, Nefertiti is a great royal wife, but it's the daughter Meritaten, right? Because Akhenaten had 6 daughters, 4 who died in a famine from disease, plague I think it was, and 2 who were left. One of them is the most important woman in history, Meritaten. It is she that announces herself Pharaoh at this moment. So you have to cut through the patristic image of the bearded Moses and understand what's really going on here. Now this woman Meritaten is very, very powerful. She's an Athenist in the tradition of her father, but they're also of the Hyksos nobility, shepherd kings. And those shepherd kings are ensconced in Tanis, outside Egypt, and in Alexandria and many other places. And these Hyksos people, this race, consider her father and her to be legitimate nobility. They're rulers, she's a queen of royal blood. And they consider her the head of their order. They now consider her the head of Atenism. Now we're not told this. We're always shown that Atenism is Akhenaten, and that's where the story stops. She's also the head of a new branch of the royal wives we've been talking about. Because her mother was slurred, and her father was slurred and ousted from power, Meritaten, in my belief, said, well, the hell with you and the royal wives of the Amonist cult. They've thrown us out. To spite them, we don't need them, and I'm going to break with them as they broke with my mother. And I'm going to create a new line, as of now, of the great royal wives, of which I am the head. And that brazen standard, as we have seen, irrefutably represents the great royal wives. But there was a break. It's not the great royal wives of the Amonist school, traditional to Egypt and going back to the dawn of time. It's a new dragon court, a new Wajat line. And because they put a man, Moses, there in the story, we don't get this.